Welcome to Our Girl Relationships. We talk about the problems people face in their day to day lives. Let's start with the video. A little backstory on why I sound so much scared is that I did mistakes. Like, kept on doing mistakes after mistakes on the pretense of love and never tried to make it right, even after realizing that this one was not going to end well. And after giving birth, I keep on making worse mistakes because I need the father in our life and I am desperate about it. No matter how much I try to make things right, something happens and I end up doing worse than before. And it feels so freaking pathetic that even when I know I won't be able to raise a child properly, I still can't let go of it and make things worse with my boyfriend and his family. So let's get into what actually happened. I am a 17-year-old high schooler. I always had good grades, good in sports, and also sang in the chorus. It was fine and everything was good until I started having a crush on the senior guy. He's like a year older than me, and one day he noticed me staring at him during the lunch and he came over and asked for my Snapchat. I gave it to him and we started talking. He was really sweet and nice at the beginning and did everything to make me feel like a princess. And he also shared his own traumas with me, so I felt like he trusted me and was into me after a month of nonstop talking. Like, we would literally talk the whole day. He wasn't really that into schoolwork, but he is from a really rich family. So he always had this I don't care, my daddy will get me into any college I want to go into. He always talked to me on the phone, never in person. At school, he will ignore me. And when I ask why, he would say it would affect my image at school because he had a really bad reputation and eventually it would affect my grades. He said staying away from him was the best thing. We never hung out or had any online public interactions. It was me being his dirty little secret all the freaking time. And I was okay with it because in time he would have some excuse to defend himself and I would buy it too because I am dumb. And I was so much in love with him. I did what I did. Then he started trying to be more than friends. Like, he would talk about how amazing my body looked in the pictures I would post and hot, and I was compared to all those senior girls. Remember that I was a sophomore back then, and this was a really great compliment because I always had low self-esteem and compare myself to those TikTok famous senior girls. And eventually, he said that he loved me and we should be more than friends. I thought he was asking me to be his girlfriend, but he just wanted us to be exclusive to each other and not in the actual relationship. Soon, I started hanging out with him after school to distant places, and we started having sex with each other. He was my first time, and he was quite smug about it, that how of I waited for the right person. I was like so sure that, yeah, he was the one for it. We started having sex more often. At this stage, it wasn't any lovey, mushy time anymore. All the time, he would talk to me, the whole conversation would become dirty. And he would start asking me for nudes and videos of me showing off my body and everything. The texts became more lesser and lesser the more we had sex. The last time we had sex, he didn't want to get a condom because he liked it more without it, and not to disappoint him, because earlier we had a fight where he said he liked me a little less, and I gave in, and we did what we wanted to do without any resistance. Then, after that day, we spoke like once a day for 5 minutes, and within a month, the whole conversation we used to have with each other, everything just disappeared, and we literally became strangers again. He would talk to other girls, and then after that, I realized he was already dating a senior, like a girl of his own class. They were together for 3 weeks at that time, so from that, I got my answer that he didn't like me anymore, and after 2 months of it, I missed my periods and realized that I was pregnant after taking a test. I showed up at his house, and he was like really awkward with me. I told him, and he said he didn't know what I was talking about. And he just straight out denied it wasn't his and I should go to the other guys I was sleeping around with. I'm like, what was he even talking about? Then he said he assumed, as we weren't in a relationship, I was seeing other guys too. At this point, I didn't want anything with him, but just wanted to get out of that place as soon as I could. I told my sister about being pregnant, and she later snitched on me to my parents, and they called the cops on the guy I dated. Turns out the girl he's dating right now is my sister's best friend, and now my sister is mad at me for doing this to her best friend. His parents demanded a paternity test to be done, and after it was confirmed it was his, they settled the whole thing when they promised that we would get married once I turned 18, and he didn't want that. So basically, he got tied down to me and has to be with me till we are eligible for divorce. He told me how he never loved me, but had to do all that to get physical with me. I had to drop out of the school, and now I live at his parents' house, and they don't like me at all. They despise me for the longest run, and the only reason they bear with me is because I am going to give birth to their grandson. And then they will somehow get rid of me. And now that my child is with me and my family has almost cut me off, all my friends stop talking to me because they are no longer interested in me. Everything is harder. Now I am 18, really young, with a baby, struggling to get out of here. My husband isn't present around me, but spends most time in the clubs and hanging out with girls, and still has kept me a secret. Everything is suffocating here. My sister thinks I am the reason why her best friend broke friendship with her, and she doesn't respond to me either. And when he does, it's because she needs something out of me, and I let her walk all over me and treat me like crap. The only thing I love is my baby smiling at me, reminding, no, it's not bad, and we will make it out of it. His dad and him play often, and he likes the kid. It's just me who isn't wanted by anyone. My mother-in-law recently came over and said I should get out of their house and sign the whole custody of my son to them and start living my life, and got into a heated argument with me and told me that if I don't, she will ask her son to kick me out himself and make sure I never recover from this. I got scared and called the cops myself, and when they arrived and started questioning everything, she flipped and blamed everything on my poor mental condition. And it's not like they can't throw the cops out with all that money and contact they hold, and which they did. I will probably be kicked out, and no matter how bad my son likes his father in his life, I need to throw him out. I am desperate to keep him in our life, but he doesn't want me, and I need to be around my son. As I was a minor, he may get arrested too for having my nudes and getting me pregnant, as he was an adult at that time, so it is all scary. I just want to keep him around us peacefully without anyone trying to steal my son from me. That's really all I want. So I called my father and told him to meet me once, and I needed help from him, and he did meet me. He literally yelled at me for everything I did, and I promised I would do anything for him if he helps me out of this situation, and he suggested I first get out of that marriage and get the whole custody of the child. And he will get me a lawyer and pay for the whole thing, but I would have to give my part of inheritance to him, which I agreed to. Now, after he gets done with helping me, I will give whatever I have, get a job, start working to provide for my child with everything he needs to grow up properly. So it's been a month since I made an update, so yeah, my father stuck through his promise and helped me with a lawyer, and yeah, I did get some part of my inheritance to myself because I need it. I have rented an apartment to myself, and we are living there. They have to send me the child support and some allowance for me, or I sue them for underage sexual abuse under the pretense of love. Yeah, I do sound like I am using what they have done to me against me, but I have to do it because I have to raise my child. I will take online courses and complete my studies myself and get some job in the future. My family has cut me off because I didn't give my whole inheritance to them. My Discord friends are supportive, and the people who live around also help me out, even though I am literally a stranger to them. Everything is great, or at least I'm pretending it to be great until it becomes great again. That guy deserves to be in jail time. Like, what he did was just evil. Okay, there is so much to unpack here. Like, I would honestly pretend that this didn't happen, and I would like to move on with my life. My wife got back from a trip to visit her sister last night, right after 11. We didn't have a definite time we were expecting her back. Last night, the boys, 16 male and 10 male, said they wanted to make dinner. Oldest likes to cook, and the youngest likes to do whatever the oldest is doing. But my wife says them being in the kitchen gives her anxiety, so always says no. But she wasn't here, so I said to go for it. Anyway, they made a ton of stuff and didn't really abide by clean as you go. They made a curry pizza, curry paste sauce and crispy tofu and chickpea toppings, and ramen burritos full of noodles, veggies, and chicken. For dessert, they made lime curd and mixed it with chocolate for a pudding-like thing. The kids had a ton of fun, took a bunch of pictures of the food, recorded a portion of the meal, etc. By the time dinner was done, it was later than usual. I told the youngest to get ready for bed while the oldest and I cleaned up. We got to work, but the kitchen was super messy. Right before 10, I told son I would finish, so he went to get ready for bed. I had some pots soaking, and I was gathering the trash when my wife walked in. 90% of the mess was gone, but what remained infuriated her. We'd already done the counters, the stove, the oven, all the appliances they'd used, and I'd cleaned and put away all of the utensils and dishes. All that was left was taking out the trash, finishing the pots, and mopping the floor. And I was waiting to do the floor until done with the pots because I didn't want to walk on it after mopping it. My wife told me I was irresponsible for letting the kids make that mess, regardless of if I was cleaning it. She said it stressed her out. She said she didn't like it when the boys are in the kitchen. She grabbed a mop, and I asked her not to mop because I needed to finish two things, and I wanted to clean the floor last. She started aggressively mopping and complaining about coming home to filth and not being able to trust me. I asked her to stop 3 times, but she ignored me and kept talking over me. I told her she was clearly frustrated from her long drive and to go take a shower and just let me finish what I was doing. She said to stop making things worse and get out of the kitchen. I said I used the kitchen for what it was for and to stop being nasty. She started telling me that I was a bad example for the boys. I just wanted her out of the kitchen, so I dumped the trash on the floor. She stared at me, burst into tears, and then ran into our room. I picked up all the trash, threw it out, finished the pots, and then mopped the floor. When I got in bed, it was almost 1 a.m., and my wife was asleep. When I woke up, she'd already left for the day. Kids had no clue about anything. My thinking is, if I clean it up, I should be allowed to make whatever mess I want. It's my house as much as hers. But I do know about her anxiety. AITA? NTA, I think you and your wife need to discuss her completely irrational behavior that night. Also, not letting a 16-year-old learn to cook because she finds it stressful is holding him back. She needs to find ways to deal with her stress without taking it out on others. NTA, your wife wasn't there. If she has an anxiety issue over the kitchen, she should get help. Are your sons supposed to never learn how to cook? Her reaction seems extreme. If this is something that causes her so much anxiety, then she should get help for not just her sake, but for her children's sakes as well. I'm an 18-year-old female. My little brother and his friend, both 13, male, are really close. You never see one without the other. In fact, his friend practically lives with us now because he prefers being around our family. At first, we weren't supposed to have him around all the time. He's a good kid, but he gradually became more clingy and rude these past few months. Now he gets upset when the two aren't together 24/7, to the point where he'll get fidgety when my brother leaves him alone for more than a day. And when my brother spends time with people other than him, he'll shut down and go quiet until the other friends are gone. One time he switched it up and went too far by bullying one of my brother's friends. He teased her relentlessly and stole her hat, refusing to give it back. Our mom had to intervene and the girl left early. He used to be really nice to my brother, always being supportive and putting him first, but now he resorts to making fun of him with sarcastic comments that are very humorless and cruel. My brother's spoken up about how his friend's change in behavior makes him uncomfortable and wishes he'd stop acting strange. Yesterday, I overheard the two of them talking, and everything that came out of my friend's mouth was a mean jab at my brother's expense. This was the last straw for me, so I pulled his friend aside and told him his obsession with my brother is unhealthy and he needs to stop acting this way and start respecting my brother's boundaries, or he won't be allowed to step foot in our house again. This is why I feel like I might be the a-hole. He clearly wasn't expecting to be told off like that. He looked around the room at everyone staring at him, obviously embarrassed, and his eyes started to water. He said, "Sorry," then walked out the front door. I feel bad for making him cry, but I don't regret embarrassing him in front of my family. It seemed to get the point across effectively because today he hasn't said anything mean or negative towards my brother. My brother thanked me for intervening, but says I should have told him off in private instead of humiliating him like that. My parents also think I could have handled it better. So, AITA here? NTA, you stood up for your little brother when the need arose. Calling someone out on their behavior is far more effective when you do it immediately. While in some ways it's unfortunate that it happened with other people around, it sounds like the kid needed to learn his lesson. And it's more important that your little brother saw you standing up for him. Getting the timing wrong doesn't make you an a-hole. You did exactly what a big sister should do. As the big sister, you probably have a place of respect in the friend's eyes. Being told off by you would probably sting. That also puts you in a position to positively reinforce good behavior. It's worth spending a bit of time with them both, within those boundaries you've reminded the friend of. NTA, why the hell weren't your parents intervening? You did what you had to do because clearly your parents didn't care enough to step up.